What's going on, everybody? Welcome to tonight's broadcast of the ACL, where we have got our grand finals. A long, hard-fought spring split all comes down to two teams, Contingent Esports taking on Team Apex. My name's Gordo. I'm joined by Quacks on the cast tonight. Quacks, welcome back. We missed you on lower finals on Tuesday. It's time. Finals though today.
Shout out to Jack for covering me there, but it is finally here, Gordo, after months and months and months of matches, of reschedules, of hard-fought Summoner's Rift mayhem. We are down to two, and only one of them going to be able to call themselves the ACL champions for this split. And they're two teams that I think we expected to make it this far. We expected to get here. We had some curveballs on the route to get to grand finals, but I think the result and the two teams that we have meeting to try and bout for the trophy are expected favorites going into the ACL. So at least we weren't too far off. We talked about how many upsets there were on teams who were ranked super duper low, making it way further than we anticipated. But these were two teams that our expectations were sky high, and now sky's the limit for where they can go.
Yeah, really, really happy that these two teams have been able to show us so much over the course of this split. It's been a hard-fought competition. I think worth noting that this is, the fourth and the seventh seed coming into the playoffs. The teams that won the group stages did not end up making it here, right? Those best of fives and more high-stakes best of threes really narrowing us down to these two. I think there's some really fun stories to be had with both of these teams here, and we can get into this one. Let's introduce our two rosters here for tonight. First off, we do have Contingent Esports coming in as the higher seed from the upper bracket. It's Geiger, Surenfire, Season, Adaption, and Mixture.
And throughout the playoffs, Gordo, we've gotten a pretty good look at these guys, I think, for what I want to say 3 series so far is what we've covered on them in the playoffs and the regular season included. So we know these guys pretty well. We have experienced what their style kind of is. And I do think that I want to point to the man in the jungle. Surenfire has been the director. He has been the Spielberg of this team, if you want to get a little bit specific. He has been trafficking the team around the early game, making sure that they're all where they need to be and just getting them these objectives and this great tempo early on, I feel is really attributed to him and what he is capable of. So really interested to see how he fares tonight against another jungler who is of similar caliber experience-wise, Gordo.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Season being able to make it here, I think is really exciting, really worth, discussing here. Definitely, actually, am I confident saying this? I think I am. I'm pretty sure Season is the youngest player to ever make an ACL final. This guy's still not... Bet. Yeah, it seems like a safe bet, right? This guy's not allowed to play in OQs yet. So the fact that he gets to be here in ACL finals a year before he's even allowed to make his OQ debut is really exciting stuff. He's got a great roster here to kind of be pseudo coach mentored by, especially in the bot lane with guys like Daption down here. Surenfire as well has renamed himself to Coach Fire in game at this stage in his career, having moonlighted as a coach for a little bit as well. And they've done a great job. This is his best ACL run by far, and is hoping to cap it off with a title. Let's check out who they're going to have to go through, though. The opposition today going to be Team Apex coming up through the lower bracket. This is Jenkins in the top lane, Mike Young in jungle, Xiao Danny. We are told it will be Shogo emergency subbed in at AD today, and Kelpo at support.
All right, so Shogo, I think, makes this matchup a lot more interesting, in my opinion, Gordo, because this is a guy who, whenever you see him on the Rift, the game essentially revolves around him. If you can accelerate him, if you can give him a lead going into team fights, he will take that and he will run with it. It has happened so many times on so many different rosters, so many different iterations of the same roster, i.e. Ole Miss, where no matter what support you had, no matter what jungler you had, no matter what mid laner was switched in and out, it would always be the coined Shogo show, and I feel like that is no different for this team. But Gordo, him being a sub does leave some really interesting questions in my mind, because he is so used to being played around normally on rosters that he is a part of. How is he going to gel with a roster that isn't maybe familiar with playing around him as a carry, and how is he going to be able to adapt to that at the last minute, essentially. He is an E-sub in a grand finals. Is the rest of Team Apex going to try and adapt and play around him, kind of forsake the style that got them here? Or are they going to play their own style, even if that is potentially to the detriment of what Shogo usually does when he's on a team?
Yeah, and now we do know that this is going to be an emergency substitution. This is going to come with a 2-ban penalty for the likes of Apex. That's going to make their drafting, I think, a little bit more difficult than it would be otherwise. And we're going to have to see how they navigate, full Fearless in a world where they lack those 2 bans. We saw the same thing happen to Calamity a couple of streams ago, where they had to run Tarim in the jungle. That was a pretty significant issue for them in that series. We chalked a lot of issues up to that 2-ban loss. It wasn't the only reason for the outcome, of course, but felt like a series that could have gone to 5 instead of 4 at the very least, had they had the full draft resources available. So certainly can make a difference there. Something else I'm very curious to see here is going to be that bot lane matchup, right? Kelpo, a player that we've seen very little of. Folks who watched Near Airport in the NACL are really going to be curious about how exactly
what he's been up to.
Yeah, who this guy is, where he went, where he came from. But he's back, and he's looking for another round here. He subbed in. He's been on the sub squad for this team for a while, and subbed in their previous series just earlier this week. Had a pretty strong performing alongside Manui, and now is returning here to play once again. We're going to see if we get some of those spicy picks out of him that we got to see earlier this week.
Kelpo is definitely an unorthodox player in the draft. I think that was one of the biggest takeaways for the people who were watching him during his Near Airport days, although those were few and far between. That roster itself, obviously he was a sub on that one alongside Sushi as well. So didn't get an amazing look at him there either. So much to be curious about when it comes to Kelpo as a player. But I again want to kind of, as we're now into the draft, highlight this jungle matchup, Gordo. I feel like these are 2 players who have been in the scene for so long. They've seen tier 1 competition. They have seen the high highs and the low lows of the North American ecosystem. And I feel now here, one of the biggest commodities that Contingent have, in my opinion, or what has made them so successful throughout the ACL, is that Surenfire is so much more experienced, so much better in the macro sense than basically every other jungler in the ACL, and that basically every other comes from the fact that Mike Young is here. He really does have the same level of experience, you feel, as Surenfire. He has been to tier 1 like Surenfire, and I think that this is really going to be a battle of who is able to direct their team around better. The macro game is super duper important. The matchup itself is going to be very big in terms of getting that bot lane ahead. I absolutely agree with you, but how these teams comport themselves around the map and sort of how they play the team fights in the macro game is going to be something that I think the junglers are in charge of, and they're relatively even in terms of experience at.
Yeah, definitely. And so these Teemo bans, by the way, are going to be placeholders for the eSub ban losses. We will have to just keep in mind that those are going to be dangling out there for the foreseeable future. I think the whole series, I don't think there's a chance of any of the main roster returning over the course of the night for Team Apex, but we'll of course keep you updated if any moves do occur. But now, looking at those placeholder bans, they're going to start off with Senna, trying to take that one away from the bot lane pool. Maybe try to prevent. I wonder who would be playing the Senna if that actually went on through. Manui played a Senna duo.
We have seen Senna. We have seen Senna increase in priority in the AD carry role just because of the amount of on-hit items that I think have gradually been getting stronger. And another big reason is the inclusion of Deathfire Touch. I think a lot of AD carries have been using this on Senna, but you can also see pro players going for things like the Fleet Footwork in case you're up against like a poke lane. So I think the existence, or rather the introduction, I should say, of the Deathfire Touch rune on top of on-hit items just being generally strong right now has revitalized the Senna priority in pro yet again. But a champion who has always been high priority in pro, Gordo, has been that Orianna. So already that is going to be denied by Contingent here. And Apex can use their one ban to target out Season of Leaf. So not allowing him to get his hands on the looks. I wonder what this means for the matchup in terms of Xiao Danny and where he is currently at. Because he likes to play some of those more scrappy mid laners. I think about the AD mids anytime I think about Xiao Danny, as despite the Senna being banned, that is not going to deter Apex from going the Nautilus. They still have things like the Ziggs and the Mel. I think those are the other two really good pairings alongside Nautilus if you want to go that. Mel would have a lot of high priority if Contingent maybe wanted to just slam the Ashe Seraphine, but I think with Nautilus being locked in, that might signal not to do that. Maybe you just go for like a Lucian Melio or something on 1-2.
Yeah, I'm interested to see the Nautilus first pick for Apex. I mean, we expected Champion Prio to go up on this one a little bit with the Aftershock buffs. You know, basically every enchanter in the meta gets nerfed, but of course the one engager who was still seeing play going to continue to make some appearances. I do think that Kelpo looked really good on this. You know, people from solo queue think of him as more of an enchanter player. He's a big Soraka guy. It wouldn't surprise me to see that hit the pick and ban list at some point this series. But I think his Nautilus and Rakan games were the most impressive from his appearance in the ACL earlier this week. So getting to see the Nautilus nice and early, that's where Apex are going to try to put some of their early eggs, see if they can bring that basket all the way home. Mel locked in. I think this is almost certainly going to be for Season in the mid lane. This guy is really, really good at kind of these, you know, these root poke focused champions. We talked with Uncle Phil a little bit about it the last time we had Contingent on the stream, saying that while they have similar champion pools, he doesn't think of Season and Samikin as like similar players, but he definitely does roll with that crowd, and he definitely has their champion pool between him as well as, you know, some other players in the NA scene.
Yeah, so we do see the Wukong come through here. Really early pickup, by the way, for this champion. Already giving Contingent some engage when they do want to start fights. And also does a good job at being able to counter the Nautilus. If you can clone, it gets in the way of the dredge line. So you can protect some of your backliners by using that. But this was my worry, is that now you open up the door to a lot of magic damage threats. The stone skin doesn't protect you from magic damage. It only gives you the stacking armor, Gordo. And then also, you're going to get revealed. Lee Sin lock in here, I think, is actually really smart from Apex and gives a lot of flexibility for Mike Young to pilot these early games, which we talked about being important. That macro sense from the junglers is something we'll have our eyes on throughout this best of 5. And I think Lee Sin just gives you way more angles to do some funky stuff if you want to.
Really sure that that is going to be a big factor as the Rel locked in for Mixture. This is a pick we don't see much of these days.
Not really,
you know,
no.
But, I mean, Patch is live, right? Patch dropped already.
Yeah.
We're on 2610. Yeah. So there is, you know, there have been some additional changes here. Not really ones in the support role, right? It was last patch that had the changes to the runes. This one buffed Yumi, and that's about it as far as support changes go. And then of course the TP top lane change is
well, we did have like Aftershock changes. Some of the, I think Dreammaker got nerfed and stuff like that.
That was the last patch though, not this week. Yeah,
right. But still, worth noting that I think Riot is attempting to balance out the enchanter meta that has been monopolizing support throughout the entire year, now just trying to pepper in some possibility for wardens. And it seems like both of the supports are taking Riot up on that offer, the Nautilus and the Rel going to be the matchup. Still, I don't want to discount this Mel to being mid lane just yet. It could be in the bot lane. Really, to me, depends on the matchup that Xiao Danny wants to try and play into it. You can see that there is an Anivia ban as well, so I think Apex are also under the assumption that this could be a Mel in the bot lane as well. They're just covering their bases with both the Ashe and the Anivia taken off the board, as Cassante going to be the lock-in here for the Rumble. So decent matchup. Also, once you have the Rookerin, just gives you that survivability. Kind of surprised they didn't go for something like the Ornn. I do think that really what they're playing for by locking in this Cassante is just denying the Lee Sin easy entry into any of these team fights. You can just ult him away or knock him away. There are plenty of different ways where Contingent can disengage this Lee Sin from the fight and getting onto the backline. So that's where I think the Cassante value really comes in here from the draft. But now Apex, they don't have a huge amount of I want to say, tanks on their team. They do have a bruisery style coming in with the Lee Sin, and I think the Rumble will have some stacking health as well. The Nautilus will be starting up fights, but you want something that can dive in with you still. So I think that this Vayne is actually a really interesting choice, because we know this will go bot lane, Gordo. The Rumble lock-in signals an 80 carry Vayne, and what a champion for Shogo to make his Apex Esports debut on, I should say.
Yeah, he's been there E-sub for a few other matches as well, but the Vayne pick is a new one. I think he played it one other time. I think he busted it out up against 4 Twinks and their father in their lower bracket matchup there. So I'm very curious to see how they feel confident in a blind pick Vayne as this Lulu comes through. This has got to be Lulu mid for Xiao Danny, no?
Yeah. So, So now we've got, this is
unless it's Nautilus mid, unless Doin B is back.
It could be Nautilus mid, but now we see the Tristana lock-in, so that probably signals the Mel will be into Season of Leaves hands here. So I feel like Lulu is going to really hate her life in this matchup. I mean, you just get outranged the entire time. You're going to get poked. You're not going to get prio. You're not going to have any chances to really roam because the wave clear is just going to get worse. Once Mel picks up the Lost Chapter and starts really getting going on those items, she's going to be able to insta-clear these waves, and Lulu won't be able to keep up. So maybe in that regard, I could see Nautilus being the mid laner. I honestly don't know, but regardless, I do think so. So it is Nautilus mid. This is great. I love this. Does give you, I think, a little bit more flexibility in this matchup, because it's hard to rebuttal the dredge line, and then it also just gives you setup for the Lee Sin, and that's the crucial thing that I want to highlight on this draft, Gordo, is how much setup there is for Mike Young to make plays around the early game. You've got setup in both mid and bot lane capable of actually making this Lee Sin early game count, and I do think that's the timer Mike Young really wants to look for before Surenfire can make his presence known on the Wukong. We talk about Wukong being a more power farm, get to level 6 champion before he can really impact the map, but we have seen Surenfire stray away from that path before, so who knows, maybe we'll have a very bloody early game matchup here to start game 1.
Yeah, definitely going to be seeing that, as I guess this is locked in as far as I know. There's no more time for swap arounds, and that's definitely going to make life pretty interesting. As I mean, I would have really questioned whether this is going to be Nautilus mid or not if swaps were still available. I would definitely be thinking that it was going to be the Lulu mid more likely, or maybe even something like Rumble mid and a Lulu or Nautilus top. Seeing Nautilus mid in the current meta, definitely a bit of a surprise.
I agree, but again, I think really what we're looking at for here with the being able to bully out Xiao Danny. He's basically got like the first couple of backs, and then Xiao Danny is probably going to get like a Negatron cloak, or he's going to get a Mercury treads. Like, he'll get some magic resist under his belt combined with that shield. I do not see a world where Mel is actually going to be able to snowball this lane. So in that regard, I do think it cuts off a win condition for Contingent early on, which is very important and kind of shoehorns them into playing for Daption, which is already a difficult matchup when you're against Vayne Lulu.
Yeah, absolutely is here. We are going to have ourselves a little bit longer of a wait as everybody gets themselves resolved with the in-client draft. And we also have some little issues in the background to get resolved, so hopefully we will be able to get those dealt with. In the meantime, I think a big factor to be considered here as well is going to be Jenkins in the top lane. With Shogo being the primary damage source, you do need a little bit of damage from somewhere else, right? He's still liable to get Flash Magnet Storm, to get Flash Cycloned, to get Stealth Cycloned. There's ways to lock this guy down, And you're going to need to have a little bit of additional damage from another position. That's going to be Jenkins in this composition. I think he's really, really talented on the Rumble. He's had a really good individual carry performance in that series earlier this week. He's had other ones throughout the playoffs. This Rumble's been a real cornerstone of Team Apex compositions. And they're going to need him to perform up against Geiger to be able to make sure that he has the gold he needs to represent in today's game.
Jenkins just loves magic damage. I mean, this is like the Kennen guy. This is the Rumble guy. He loves his AP top laners, Gordo. He's right at home with this lock-in. But I guess while we have a little bit more time here, I do think that this would be a really monumental win for Season of Leaves and what could actually be the future of his career when he inevitably ages and becomes eligible for things like the OQ, for things like the promotion tournament. Because you look around him, he's playing with 4 guys that are going into the promotion tournament. And if he is able to keep up with them, if he is able to be an active contributor to his wins in this grand finals like he has been throughout the playoffs, throughout the regular season, throughout Contingent's run in the ACL, I think a lot of people will get high on this guy going into the future because he's able to keep up with players who are at that tier 2 level or very close to.
Yeah, I think that's a huge factor as well here, as we do have a pause as we get into the game, so there will be a little bit of additional delay on top of what we're already accustomed to. But I completely agree. I think this is a big night for Seasonal Leaves. It's a big night for Xiao Danny as well. We talked about this in the post-match earlier this week. This is Xiao Danny's first final for ACL, and he's been competing basically since the start. He's played in 5 previous ACLs, I believe, and is always in playoffs, but has never made it to a finals week, is capped out at 4th place. Big deal to be able to show up here and finally make one. Alongside Mike Young, who won the original ACL, our very first split was won by UCI. This Team Apex squad is kind of a core of UCI alumni. It's fun to have them back and fun to see that growth over the course of a couple of years. But it's going to be, both mid laners, it's such a big stage for them, and you got to believe that both are dead set on being able to walk away with a win.
And it's doing so on opposite styles, I feel. I mean, Season of Leaves, we just talked about this thing where even though Thin Uncle Phil wasn't under the impression that these guys were similar players, he does contribute the champion pools to being similar. And that is the long-range artillery mages for Season, the Mel, the Lux, the Zoe, all of these things he is really proficient on, and that is what his bread and butter has been ever since he started playing competitively. And then Xiao Danny, I think when I started casting this guy, I remember him on things like the mid lane, like the marksman mids, like the Tristana mids, the Lucian mids. Akshan is a champion that I think is like really tied to Xiao Danny. I don't know how many times I've actually seen him play it, but for some reason I just attribute that character to him. So you've got a magic damage, long range artillery mage guy, and an AD mids guy. And I feel like you can see those styles at a bit of a clash here, even in draft number 1, where Season of Leaves is given the Mel, and then Xiao Danny, he's not given an AD marksman like the Akshan or the Lucian, but he is given the Nautilus. He is given something different. He is given something that I think has allowed him to carve out his own style and really make a name for himself, even though he doesn't have those innate wins. Everybody knows who Xiao Danny is in the tier 3 space, and it is because he is willing to go for these picks like the Nautilus.
Yeah. Now, looking to see, I think I heard chat in the background, so hopefully they will be able to get this one started here pretty soon. Meantime, do have ourselves a couple of compositions here. What do you think of Nautilus mid in 2026?
You know,
I feel like it's not been a thing for about half a decade.
It hasn't. You know, Doinby like terrorized the entire Western hemisphere of the world.
He terrorized the East too, baby.
He did, but I mean, G2 fans are afraid of this pick, and G2 fans was basically everybody in the West in 2019. I mean, that was the hope for the West that year, and then that was the last time we saw this pick. It was shut down completely by Doinby & Co. on Fun Plus Phoenix. I do think in this day and age, one of my biggest concerns is wave clear on this character, and this is something that I think has really gatekept Nautilus from being a solo laner, akin to other stuff, other tanks we have seen. lane. And so I wonder if we'll be seeing him on stuff like the Hollow Radiance, where it gives you a little bit more wave clear, if he's going to maybe be maxing E to try and get that AoE down. I'm curious how this is going to go, but I think that if he is able to solve that equation and link up with Mike Young, he will be chilling for sure.
Danny gonna get spotted here right at level 1 though. Daption gonna flash over the wall, knows he's got the ignite on him from Mixture, and first blood picked up by Daption in favor of Contingent.
All right, starts the rocket jump though, so trading not going to be nearly as strong. He's also not able to reset with that gold, so won't see the fruits of his labor paid off just yet. You can actually see both Shogo and Kelpo are baiting him away, or I should say keeping him away from the wave, so he's going to miss some minions at least on the first crash, but nothing too consequential. Still though, does make Danny's game a lot harder. No flash available, had to use the TP, and is in a range versus melee matchup already, so it was never going to be easy from the start, Gordo.
No, it definitely was not. As we get on in, that first blood going to be a huge value to the Contingent bot lane. I think this is already a Tristana-focused matchup for the first couple of levels. When you have access to that huge amount of upfront burst damage, once he's able to recall and spend some of that money, it's going to make that even more in the Contingent side. And Geiger going to be securing the push in top side as well.
Yep. So what we can see though, both bot laners are pathing down bot lane. And I think for the Lee Sin, he again really has to make use of this window where Wukong doesn't have nearly as much damage and doesn't have access to that Cyclone. He's got to try and make use of that timer. And so far, we aren't seeing any deviation from just the standard full clear. We are, however, seeing push here for both Shogo and Kelpo. So even though Daption gets the kill, because he's not able to get that back, there really is no prio gained there in the bot lane, which means we'll probably see Lee Sin just get the crab and get access to this river first. Could maybe see that paid off in a mid gank afterwards, but I feel like that is thinking a little too far in the future. It's also just wishful thinking at this point. Danny is going to have a really hard time getting onto this Mel, especially if there is a wave crashed.
Could be pretty difficult, but going to be able to, so far, just keep things held out about the middle of the lane. Schernfire picking up that bottom side scuttler, even as Mike Young arrives. So Mike going to be without anything to do on this side of the map. Season just connected a root, trying to flash block the hook. That was a great idea. Did not pay off this time.
No.
Going to need to land one more Q. He can't get it. The amped up bird, it's too much. Danny gets the kill back on the Season.
It's a disaster dive attempt onto Danny. The shield keeps him alive. Schernfire will be able to double crab, but Mike Young is after him.
Now getting chased across, tries to go into the fake decoy, but Jenkins ain't buying it.
Nope, he will not be fooled today. Jenkins roams down, does commit the flash, but still an early kill given over to this Rumble in a matchup that is supposed to be pretty difficult for him early on. And I am actually thinking that because of the Deathfire Touch keystone being dropped on here by Jenkins as hold that thought Shogo is being engaged onto.
Double crash down coming on across the team here. We'll be doing a fair bit to create that space for Daption and Mixture. I love the idea of what Season was going for there. Just such a tragedy.
Shogo.
Meanwhile, a jump in onto Shogo. Exhaust, ignite once again. Sent into the polymorph though. And Shogo will be able to turn it back. About to make it a double kill. Mixture and Daption send it too far. 2-0 to the Vayne.
That was a clutch polymorph there from Kelpo. It denied the reset rocket jump there for Daption, who probably would have gotten the kill had he landed it onto the Vayne. Plus the condemn locks him down. The CC is enough. It's a double kill over to the Vayne. They crash the wave on top of that Gordo, and a reset will come through from the Team Apex bot lane. But going back to this top lane, I mean, you can see how far Jenkins is willing to play up in this matchup. And it's because of him having the Deathfire Touch that this is super important that he gets these early kills, because he could very easily just go for like the first strike, as I have no time to talk. We are just going straight up fight mode in this game.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit not enough firepower to back up this engage though.
Good ult.
He's gonna get focused focus down without too much trouble. Mixture going to try to disengage. Does get that mold breaker back across the team to try to stun them up. Make sure that Schernfire will be able to get away. But that's a quick 1-0 for Apex as they do put themselves a little bit over 1K in the lead. A flash stun comes through from Geiger, but he's getting opened up on by the equalizer, and Jenkins picks up a solo kill as well.
Geiger attempting to get him to that wall so he can all out him. Doesn't go right. He just ends up knocking him back closer to the tower. And so can't really continue on to that fight because he would be in tower range. And Jenkins is just able to get him on the rebound, get the second kill of the game, like you said, and will be able to get his wave in a favorable state too. Now Kelpo in trouble.
Kelpo getting jumped, and Daption will get a little bit of gold back for that one. He's down a couple of waves of CS. Going to be a big deal for him to be able to get that cash out and take Kelpo down. Got the flash as well. Will certainly be a big boon. Oh, Mike Young taking multiple turret shots. Xiao Danny, rather.
But Xiao Danny should be fine. Does have flash, but look at Mike Young. He's actually sneaking the dragon. Doesn't have prio bot. And Schernfire is even on this side of the map, but he is deciding to risk it, go for it. I think understands that Schernfire probably wants to back after getting level 6 and just kind of reset his tempo. So he's going to make use of that timer, gets his team the first dragon, and there is the macro from the jungle matchup we talked about, Gordo. It's coming in full force.
And they get a big warning sign down on that bottom side that Mike Young is in the area thanks to the dragon has been slain alarm. So they will back away with haste. Oh, there's an all out. That's going to take Geiger underneath the turret. And he is once again positioned to just get toasted by Jenkins. Does land the Q3, but he's got to get out of here. I mean, Mike Young making a beeline towards that top side of the map. Schernfire coming to try to support.
Both junglers just trying to cover that play. Will be the Cassante getting out here, but Schernfire, I guess, Geiger, lucky he's kind of there, because I was thinking that Mike Young would totally try to commit for that. Now, Wukong is actually shadowing. He's going to go over the wall with W, but both junglers spot each other.
Yeah, he's going to commit the Cyclone. He just feels like he wins this one-on-one. We'll get the Dragon's Rage out, an exchange of ultimates from the junglers. See who that ends up favoring over the next couple of moments, but for now, going to be a health lead to Schernfire. Engage from Daption, going to get out that exhaust from Kelpo. Kelpo's going to try to chase just a little bit further. Crash down, just trying to slow up Shogo, trying to keep him away from Daption, but he will run him all the way down and claim another kill in the 2 versus 2. Meanwhile, the equalizer opened up onto Schernfire. He's got no backup here. 1 versus 3, seeking an invade that he has no business making. And another kill goes the way of Apex on the top side.
Apex are just picking up kills left and right, Gordo, and I feel like it's because Contingent are posturing so disrespectfully. I mean, we saw that kill onto Daption. It was a result of him rocket jumping forward, not understanding that Shogo was coming back from the lane, getting back and was in fog, so he gets punished for that. A good rebuttal attempt there from Season of Leaves, but it doesn't look like Xiao Danny's going to be able to capitalize off of that. But then on the top side, Schernfire, like you said, is just up with nobody there around him.
Daption jumping on in, but they will be able to get this kill on a Shogo regardless. Now Kelpo caught in the Magnet Storm, gives one to Mixture, and the bot lane 2v2 continues to go blow for blow. 3 kills on each carry. That was shutdown gold into Daption as well.
All right, so Daption gets a little bit of recompense for the earlier mistakes that we saw in the first 2v2, now getting himself more gold, and probably on this back should be able to complete his first item. So we're getting to this break point where 80 carries are finishing that part of their game. It will be the Yuntal for the Tristana, so really favoring these extended trades, I think, just to increase that crit strike as the game, or rather as the skirmishes go on, and that puts a lot of onus on the front line to buy Daption that time. I'm looking at Mixture, I'm looking at Schernfire to be able to guard this Tristana, allow him to shoot freely, but also be unbesmirched as the fight goes on. As now we're in the top side, Geiger is looking for maybe some shenanigans. Schernfire is also on his Krug, so maybe they can find a collapse. No, he's just going now.
Still down a level though, so yeah, just going to look to exchange a couple of blows. I gotta say, looking at the 80 carry gold here, by the way, I know I'm not the first person to say this, and I won't be the last. Shutdowns are dumb.
Schernfire's here.
All right, hang on a second. Before I get into shutdowns, all right, Jenkins able to dodge out. This play's fizzled. The fact that Shogo is 3-1-0, Daption is 3-2-1 with a CS deficit, and Dapchin is up 700 gold is ridiculous. Oh, there's an all-out on the top side. Looking to be able to get onto Jenkins. Jenkins able to flash away, and Geiger sends himself back into the equalizer. That is a third solo kill to Jenkins.
Jenkins really showing his proficiency on the AP top laners, and like you said, third solo kill there is going to push in this wave. Hopefully doesn't overextend, as Surenfire is currently on the Wolves on top side, so that part of the map he could maybe look to punish, but is going to opt to just go for a reset instead. And we've got what seems like a nice little split map situation right here, Gordo. Apex are playing heavily toward this bot side, making sure that Shogo and Kelpo have assistance in case another 2v2 does break out. Meanwhile, Surenfire is farming away on this top lane, but isn't really actually able to influence the matchup. So I do think this Wukong is just being denied these opportunities to have that same impact that this Lee Sin has been having so far in this game.
Well, a couple of blows exchanged to the bottom lane once again, and they're just going to go all in on a Kelpo. Maggot Storm connects on a 2. Kelpo nearly taken down. The Ignite's going to be enough. One more auto, but it's on for Mike Young, who arrives to the scene and turns the play back around. Surenfire has to back away. Dapchin loses his flash for no cash out, and Apex pull ahead in the 2v2 yet again.
And just look at this top lane matchup. This is being this is a very rough time for Geiger. I mean, this is the counter matchup, by the way. K'Sante is supposed to be winning this, or not even winning, but at least stalemating the matchup, preventing the Rumble from snowballing. And we're 12 minutes in. He's already got completed boots on top of a Leandry. So this is going to be a very scary Rumble once team fights start to break out. And for Contingent, I just feel like it is going to be so difficult to deny Team Apex those 5v5s, because if they get this next dragon and we start talking about soul points being on the line, Contingent are basically locked in to going for these 5v5s to deny that breakpoint, or that win con rather, from going over. And that is not a spot that they at all want to be in against a 3-0 Rumble.
No, not at all. It's coming into the bottom side. Mixture now going to be in that river. He's going to run into Xiao Danny. Got to be careful about that lockdown, especially with the Lulu approaching as well. They are fishing for Mixture. He will be able to escape for now, and they're going to look to start up Dragon number 2. Should be a pretty straightforward Apex secure. Stun into the wall from Shogo. Mixture forced to jump over. Should be able to get out of here without too much trouble, and that Condemn being down. Dapchin thinks it's an opportunity to go for the trade, but wow, that upfront damage from the Vayne is hard to deal with.
Yep, that's the Stormrazor Energized procs right there, working overtime. Tristana taken down to about half HP. And Mike Young is on this side of the map, but so is Surenfire. So I think the opportunity for a dive, likely against Team Apex's best interests.
Jump on towards Shogo. He will be forced to flash away. Has Kelpo's ultimate on top of him as well. And that will be about all they get for it, trading Magnet Storm for the flashes of Shogo and Kelpo.
Right, so good disengage there from the Team Apex bot side. Will allow them to continue playing up because they know Surenfire is here, but Mike Young is also in the area. You can see that ward going to spot them out too. And it's so difficult for the Wukong to actually make any impact on this bot side. He's been getting farm. He's, 20 CS up over the Lee Sin, but the Lee Sin has just been such a good force and such a powerful performer when it comes to favoring or swinging these matchups in Team Apex's favor.
Geiger going for the one-on-one again. This time, though, it's looking like it's in his favor. Quick shield from Jenkins to get himself away. Doesn't need to land a third and Tofo strike, though. That's shut down gold in the solo kill.
Ooh,
back over to Geiger. And now they're looking for another engage at the bottom side. Mixture still doesn't have access to that Magnet. Do we need a new prod? Oh, okay. Are we still live? Are we back live?
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Good question.
If you were like on League of Legends Family Feud and like he was asking you,
I don't think Season's TP into this, brother. Or sorry, who are you thinking is going to TP?
I was thinking Xiao Danny could TP. He's resetting.
Oh.
He could teleport.
I don't think he's going to do this. I think we'll see here the engage. We did rewind a little bit so nobody missed anything. And
I am also not able to see the feed now.